Iraq is supposed to join the WTO this 18th of July, is that correct? The 18th is the next meeting of the steering committee. The full assembly would have to vote to allow Iraq full accession. They are not scheduled to meet until early 2026. It would be extremely uncommon for a steering committee to only meet with a country 2 times after the initial meeting. 4 to 7 is the usual. This only the second meeting of the steering committee for Iraq. Iraq is supposed to join the WTO this 18th of July, is that correct? It was reported on Iraqi TV that Iraq will be full members of the WTO July 18th. The Gazette, it's been printed but with July 1st date and there's no budget and no budget schedules in it. Maybe we have to wait for that appeal and the 15 days. So the rate is slowly stabilizing as has now reached 1,220 from 1,320. The goal is 1,121. Folks, this is not too far off. This is all good news. Am I telling you they will RV when it reaches their goal? Of course not, but these rates adjustments tell us they cannot hold this back much longer, and even with their own criteria something must be done and done soon to bring the dinar to the international investment world and free it up. The news is still concentrating mostly on bringing in foreign investors, and they told us today that there was a 2-part plan, and this plan is now completed. The other part of the ongoing news from Iraq is still about the parallel market rate versus the official CBI rate of the dollar. Saleh works with this issue daily and he is executing a plan. The plan takes time, but Saleh says it is working and again tells us, soon, the parallel will equal the official rate. Let's hope July 4th is the Thursday? Mark Z. There are a lot of rumors going around that this is the go. We don't know. No one knows the timing. I told you need to get ready. They are explaining that you are soon to get what we have been sharing with you. The monetary reform is soon to give you the new exchange rate and the lower notes. They are preparing every mechanism, device, location in order to give you the lower notes so that it's a successful event. It must not fail with you Iraqi citizens. Why haven't you produced any oil out of the Cyan pipeline? What about the hydrocarbon law? How come you haven't seen that done yet? Why? Because they're waiting for something that the Central Bank of Iraq is the one that's going to be able to talk about, and I think that's a real effective exchange rate. Will the exchange rate change? Yes, of course it will, but there are still some hurdles that Iraq must continue to go through before they make that change. I guarantee you and I promise you this, nobody, not a single person out there, anywhere knows what the rate is going to be or when it's going to happen. They will let us all know when the time comes. In the meantime, if you at least are aware of what you're looking for, it gives you an idea of how long things are going to take. It's not complicated. It's very straightforward to the point. The budget has a new exchange rate. On Wednesday, the leader of the coordination framework, Ali Al-Fadlawi, identified 5 points in the Aqaba project at the expense of Iraq's interests. Al-Fadlawi said in an interview with Al-Maluma agency, he does not hide the existence of big question marks about the project to extend a pipeline from the oil fields in southern Iraq to the Jordanian port of Aqaba, noting that the project was proposed 40 years ago and remained postponed and was recently proposed. He added that the project in essence is to secure Jordan's needs for crude oil, although it has not made any good initiatives towards Iraq for many years, noting that the entire project is at the expense of Iraq's interests, as it is responsible for spending the money, providing security and planning, and after all these efforts, the pipeline will be owned by Jordan after 20 years. He asked about the economic feasibility of an oil pipeline that would cost the Iraqi treasury billions of dollars, noting that the existence of big question marks is realistic and objective. It is noteworthy that several political elites expressed their rejection of the Aqaba pipeline project and considered it a waste of money, especially with the lack of economic feasibility that would allow it to proceed. The head of the National Coalition, Iyad Alawi, warned today, Wednesday, of the explosion of the situation in the country as a result of internal disputes, while he called on the political forces to hold a dialogue to discuss amending the course of the political process. Alawi said in a statement received by Sumerian News, Iraq and its honorable people have suffered throughout the past period since the days of the defunct regime and still until now from many crises and extremely complex challenges. After the fall of this dictatorial regime, we sought with the national opposition forces to build a democratic Iraq and achieve a state of citizenship, but unfortunately the political process was built on false foundations and depended on quotas, sectarianism, marginalization, exclusion and politicized uprooting. Corruption spread in all joints of the state, loose weapons spread, and security and stability disappeared until Iraq became a theater for regional and international conflict.